join us today. So before we get started, just wanted to introduce the staff. We'll introduce ourselves, and then I'll go over a little bit about what we're going to do today, and then I'll pass it over to Chef Carrie. So I'm Michelle Hecht. I am in admissions, and welcome. I'm going to pass it over to Joe.
Hey everybody, my name is Joe. I am from the admissions, and I'm going to hand it over to Antonella.
Hi everyone, welcome. So happy you can make it. I am Antonella here in admissions as well, and I will pass it over to our financial aid department.
Thank you, Antonella. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samir Ahmed, and I am one of your financial aid administrators here at Bauman College. I'm going to pass it off to Chef Carrie.
Hi, everyone. I am Chef Carrie Bonfitto. I'm the culinary program manager here at Bauman College. You may also see me in some of the classes as an instructor from time to time, but I really love doing these demos. This demo that you're joining us for today is an ongoing bonus demo that we do for students. We do have a few students on today as well as alum on the call, and we do these to keep people talking and to develop our community building that we have here at Bauman College. Even though we are an online program, we try to create as much interaction as we can with our students and our alum. So welcome, and so great for you to join me today. So it's summertime. I don't know if anybody out there is growing a garden. I am not this year, but my neighbor is, and she has a lot of zucchini starting to come in. And I often will get asked in the summertime, oh my gosh, what do I do with all this zucchini? Especially when we have this hot weather. And in some places, good rain, we get an abundance of zucchini. So I'm talking about these squash. This is a wonderful squash, and one of the reasons zucchini is a great healthful food is that it's really low reactive. So a lot of times people come to Bauman because they're struggling with health conditions, maybe digestive issues, all kinds of things. And if you can incorporate zucchini into the menu, this is a food that we find that people normally can eat who have any kind of health condition, especially if it is cooked, but we can eat it raw. And so today I'm actually making a raw preparation for this zucchini because it's so hot and because vegetables are wonderful to eat raw. We should incorporate raw vegetables into our diet whenever we can. The more raw vegetables we eat, the less bottled probiotics we need, because there's good healthy bacteria on the outside of our vegetables. And that's how we're able to use vegetables to do things like make fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and other things. So I love using raw zucchini. And so I'm going to show you a recipe today that is going to be using raw zucchini as the pasta replacement, right? So instead of pasta, this is a light recipe where we're going to actually use the zucchini to create a little ravioli that we're going to pack with some pistachio filling. And then we're going to serve it with a burst tomato sauce. So let me get started and just switch my camera and show you my some of my ingredients that I have ready to go. All right, so you can see I've got my blender ready to go because I'm gonna do the filling first, because I want the filling to have time for the flavors to marry and melt and get all wonderfully delicious together. So this recipe actually is great to start the night before. So in this jar, I actually have the pistachios and some hemp seeds. So pistachios are a wonderful nut, full of protein, full of fiber. You can see some of them floating here on the top. Pistachio is also gut healing. So people who have digestive issues also do well with pistachio. And then I added some hemp seeds into the jar as well, because I wanted to add a little bit of protein to this plant-based dish. And hemp seeds are wonderful for that. So let me create some space here so that I can show you these seeds, because I'm going to strain. I'm going to strain them. I've had these soaking overnight. If you forget to soak these overnight, you can do a quick soak method with some hot water and let them soak for about an hour. So you can see here I've got the mixture of the pistachio and the hemp. I soak them together because they're all going to be blended together. And so this also helps to soften. So you can see, whoop, that one's escaped, but you can see that these nuts are now a little bit softer. And that's going to help, especially if you don't have a high-speed blender, you can still make this recipe. All right, so I'm going to go right into my blender with about a cup of those pistachios. That's a cup before they're soaked. I've got a few hemp seeds still in the jar, so I'm going to make sure I get all that good protein. So we got about 10 grams of protein in just 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds. And so this is a really great, easy protein source, plant-based. Let me get rid of my water. All right, the other things that I have going, like we have so much zucchini, right? So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to try to use as much of it as possible. And so by grating this zucchini, we can incorporate it into our seeds. Now, one of the things I've done is grated this, and this has been sitting for about 15 minutes. And that is to help it release its water, because I want to have control over my water in my filling. So I'm actually going to squeeze this water. I can use my strainer again and squeeze this water out. You can see how much water I'm getting. And this will help me to make sure that my filling isn't too loose, right? So we want to just use the water as we want to use it. We don't want the zucchini, which is filled with water. You can see all the water coming out of the zucchini. We want to make sure that we're not letting the zucchini dictate that filling. We want to have control over the liquid. All right, so as I am squeezing out as much as possible, we're going to need a little bit, so I'm not going too crazy with the towel here. But then this ingredient, this is grated zucchini. This is one whole zucchini that's been grated, can go into our blender as well to create this filling. Now I'm going to keep this water because you can see the color, right? It's full of wonderful nutrients in there, and we really want to incorporate that into our dish rather than just using plain water to thin. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. The other thing that's going to go in here as a main ingredient is basil. So this is a cup of basil that's been tightly packed. You can see it's springing back a little bit, but these are basil leaves. This is also a leafy green, and it's an herb, so it's a booster food, and it really packs a lot of nutrients into just a little bit of space. So let's put all of this basil into our blender as well. And we're going to add garlic. If you do have digestive issues, omit the garlic, right? Our garlic can be a little bit rough if you are having any kind of reflux or IBS. But for this, we're going to go in with a little bit of garlic for some flavor. And we've got a little bit of nutritional yeast. This is going to add B vitamins. This is going to add just a little bit more protein. And so we've got that in there as well. And then I'm going to use a little bit of lemon. So this is the juice of 1 lemon. This is a small lemon. We're going for about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So depending on your lemon, it may be more or less than 1 lemon. I'm just using my juicer to go right in there. All right, and so now I'm going to put on my lid, and we'll start blending. I'll let you have a peek in here. We'll see if it blends out. We might need to add a water. So I am going to add a little bit of that zucchini water, just a bit at a time to get it going. Put that lid back on so it doesn't spray everywhere. And I'm going to turn up my speed. So let's see what the texture is like. I think I'm going to need a little bit more water because I want this to be creamy, right? And so in order to create that creamy kind of ricotta-esque filling is what we're going for. So I'm going to add a little bit more water to that. Just kind of like a tablespoon at a time to get it going. And we'll see what that's doing. We can see it's getting much more creamy. And it is sticking together, right? So you could use this and you could mold it so that it's going to stay together inside your ravioli. But I don't want any of those chunks of pistachio, so I'm going to just do a little bit more water and one more blend, and then I think we'll be in good shape. All right, so that looks perfect to me. So we've got now this texture that is going to be really nice and easy to work with, and it's going to feel like ricotta. We still have a little bit of chunks going on in there, which is good because ricotta is not completely smooth. So I'm going to reserve this. You can put it into the refrigerator if you'd like, and even make this a day in advance. But we've got this filling now that will go into our zucchini. All right, so now I'll put this to the side and we can start our next project, which is getting those pieces of zucchini. So really what we want to do is have a nice clear cutting board so that we can work with this zucchini in a way that is going to give us those ribbons of zucchini. So I've got a couple of different sizes, and then as you're purchasing the zucchini, you may want to be thinking about the different sizes that are available to you, depending on the recipe that you're going to make. So what we're going to do is actually make the ribbons of zucchini, but we're going to go into a bowl of just seasoned oil, essentially. That is going to be the marinade for these. And this oil is going to help along with a little bit of salt and a little bit of fresh ground black pepper. This is going to help to tenderize the zucchini strips and break them down. All right, and so we're going to put this oil to the side and work with our ribbons. So the best thing I have found is to use the Y vegetable peeler for this task, especially for the smaller zucchini. It's just going to take the ends off so that these are going to be as rectangular as possible. And then we can take our peeler and just literally peel and make these long strips. You kind of have to get the ends going, but we're just looking for these very thin ribbons of zucchini. So we're going to peel this whole one, and then I'll show you what we do with that. I like working with the smaller zucchini. I find that the smaller zucchini have less seeds usually internally. When you kind of get to where it's rocking like that, we want to flip it over so now it's on a nice stable surface and it's not rocking for us anymore. But I'm just literally using that Y peeler. You could also do this with a mandolin. A lot of the box graters as well. I have my box grater here. We'll have these larger grates that you can do a larger strip over. But I find that you've got the most control with the Y grater. And in the chef program, we actually make a raw ravioli dish out of turnips. And that is impossible really to do with the Y peeler, and the mandolin works the best. I can see that one of our alum who is on, Krista, is using her mandolin for this job. And that might make it a little bit faster, right, if you've got that mandolin going. But a lot of people don't have mandolins, so I like this to share this recipe with a lot of my clients as well. All right, so that should be pretty good. And I always say estimating about 1 zucchini per person is a good way to know how much zucchini you'll need. All right, so I'm just going to now roll these in the oil, the seasoned oil that's got salt and pepper in it. There's nothing else in here. This is just nice extra virgin olive oil. It's cold pressed oil. We know that it wasn't made using an expeller process or any kind of chemical process. So there's no salts or inflammatory things happening with this oil. It's just squeezed olives. All right, so those are all nicely coated. And again, I'm just going to let these hang out for a little bit and kind of tenderize while we get our sauce going. Okay. Get my burner over here and I can show you the sauce. All right, so I'm using an induction burner today. The induction burners are nice because this never gets hot to the touch. The pan will get hot, but the burner itself doesn't get hot. So in order to make the connection, I have to put my pan on here and then I can turn it on. And I want it to be pretty hot. So maybe a medium high. And my pan not working. I'm gonna grab my cast iron skillet here. So I thought that pan was magnetic, but it is not. So I know my cast iron is magnetic. And so it actually uses magnets to create the connection and give you that heat. So I'm going to let this heat up while I get my other ingredients. So for this dish, I've actually, I'm going to use some cherry tomatoes. You can use grape tomatoes. You can you could use regular tomatoes as well that you've diced, but it won't be a burst tomato sauce, right? So this is kind of an easy way to break the tomatoes down using a very hot pan. And so I've dried the tomatoes as well because I really don't want any of the water from when I wash the tomatoes to create any kind of spurting happening and splashing. So once my pan is hot and I can see that it's hot, I can feel that it's hot, I'm going to add some extra virgin olive oil. And then right away, I want to add my tomatoes. And I'm doing about half the recipe here, just so it's a little bit of a quicker cooking time. So these are going to cook. It only takes about 5 minutes. And these will start to split open. I don't know if you can hear that sizzle and that pop, if my noise is on or off. Can you hear it now? Can you hear the
Oh,
popping?
yeah, can hear that.
Yeah, so we want to get that noise, and it is going to be a little bit messy, right? Because they are releasing their water into the pan here. So these are just going to literally burst open. You can see they're already starting to char. That one burst already, and they'll split and create this wonderful, flavorful sauce. So the tomato season, right, it goes along with zucchini season. So both of these things are happening. While that's happening, I'm going to mince a little bit of garlic to go in here as well. So to do that, we can just use our knife and press down to pop the white paper off of the outside of the garlic. You can do that with both of our pieces. So this process, I'm going to turn on my noise suppression so you don't have to, so you can hear me. This process actually releases a compound called allicin in the garlic when we mash it. And it takes about a minute for it to fully develop. And this compound called allicin actually helps with cholesterol management. The compound only lasts in the garlic for about 24 hours after it's been smashed. So this is the reason we always want to be using fresh garlic. We don't want to be using jarred garlic because we're losing a lot of the compounds and the properties that make it such a beneficial, healthy food. All right, so I've got my garlic and keep going to mince it a little bit more. I like to have a little bit bigger pieces to ensure that it's not going to burn in my pan. We can put that, our bench scraper, clean off the knife. Because garlic is very sticky until we're ready to put the garlic in the pan. Because this is only going to need to cook for a few minutes. It's that, maybe 60 seconds. So I've got my garlic ready. I'm also going to be putting a little bit of nutritional yeast. And a little bit of hot pepper flakes. And even some more of that wonderful basil in here. All right, so I'm going to poke these a little bit just to help the process, but we can see how they're nice and tender. We're getting good color on these. And the juices are releasing into the. So once all of these have kind of popped, then we can also add a little bit of dry white wine or chicken stock or vegetable stock, because we just want to make sure we get all of that goodness that's cooking in the pan that it's a glaze. I see, Krista, you're cooking along. How are you doing, Krista?
Good. It's probably loud in here. I got my tomatoes sizzling, but I'm a little behind you, but almost there.
Yeah, I shortcutted a few things. When we do these demos for class, we always tell you exactly what to prep, so you don't, so you'll be on schedule with the instructor. All right, so that's looking pretty good. They're definitely just smelling so fragrant. So now I'm going to add my pepper flakes in here, because we really want those to be cooked a little bit in the oil. And I think I'm going to go in with my garlic now. As these are popping. So that garlic hits the pan. We want to keep it moving. And we really can just smell that wonderful fragrance. I've also reserved a couple of the stems from my basil just to throw in here. The stems are actually the most flavorful part of the basil, although we often don't eat them. They're wonderful for flavoring oils or sauces, and leaving them big like this allows us to pull them out when it's done. So we'll have a little bit of flavor from the basil stalk, and then we'll also be able to have more basil that I'm going to do a little rough chop on while everything's getting going. You could chiffonade this. You could even just tear it with your hands if you'd like. But since we are cooking this, and it will really wilt on its own, I'm just going to do a really rough chop to keep some bigger pieces intact, but just to kind of get the juices going with this basil here. This is a really rustic dish, right? Because the tomatoes are really just first. So I think a rough chop feels natural for this. And I'm going to go in with the basil. And then in with my wine. Really see how it's lifting everything off of the pan. This will thicken the sauce a little bit as well. But it's really done at this phase. So I'm going to turn the heat off. And then I'm just going to add in my nutritional yeast. And I'm going to add in a good heavy pinch of salt, because tomatoes need salt. They really do. I'm going to go 1.5 good pinches there. So we can see this beautiful sauce the tomatoes have created for us without much work. We've got that garlic in there as well. So I'm going to let this just kind of hang out and let those flavors combine while we assemble our zucchini. All right, so get a nice workspace going. Now for the zucchini, we really want to, because it's so oily, you could do this directly on your cutting board if your cutting board needs a good oil, which mine might, but I usually will get a plate for this so that I just have a nice clean work surface. Then I've also got my zucchini ribbons to the side here. Let me put those over here. You can see what I'm working with. And then I also have my filling that I created. And to make this really even, I'm going to use a little cookie scoop. This is just a small, I think this might be a tablespoon cookie scoop. That'll help me evenly measure out all of my zucchini. And you can see how pliable these are now, right? They're really wiggly. And because this was a smaller zucchini, I like to layer these to make a double layer. And all I'm doing is making an X to make this double layer of zucchini. And so then I can take a scoop of my filling. And then I'm just going to work in a circle. So I'm going to make sure that I'm taking the zucchini that is on the bottom, and I'm going to flip those over. And then I'm just going to work around in a circle, because now this one is on the top, but these are going to lock each other in. And again, keeping in the circle. Now we've got this nice little ravioli package. This is upside down though, so for presentation, I would flip it over so it just looks a little bit neater. So we can make a few of these, and then we can plate them. So we've got our zucchini ribbons. And we've got that wonderful olive oil on these ribbons. So they're glossy, they're beautiful, and they're going to fill us up. Oh, did you guys see what I did there? I was talking too much. I need to put more zucchini down. So we need that double layer of zucchini. If your zucchini is wider, then you probably just want to do one piece of zucchini and not the double. Because these are nice to be kind of bite-sized little poppers. So that can be, so we don't have to cut them, because if you cut them, they're going to kind of ooze everywhere. But you can cut them if you have a nice sharp knife. But they are they're kind of neat looking. I'm just going to make 3 of them here because you guys get the idea. And then I'll show you what they'll look like on a plate. But it's a fast meal. I mean, we've only been together here for not too long, and you can put this together, use up your zucchini, keep your kitchen relatively cool. You could do, if you didn't want to do our burst tomato sauce, you could easily do a little bit of like a bruschetta. So it's just chopping some fresh tomatoes, some fresh basil, and a little bit of garlic together, toss that with some salt, pepper, olive oil, and then just kind of use that as your sauce if you didn't want to heat your kitchen up at all. All right, so let me show you just a plating of these. Do I want to use blue? I love my blue bowls, but maybe the red sauce will pop harder just on the white. So all I'm going to do is take a little bit of my sauce, spread this on the bottom. This is actually a pasta bowl, so it's kind of a nice vessel for these, and I'm leaving some space in there. And when I'm plating anything, I want to plate odd numbers. So 3 is perfect for this, to kind of nestle these 3 zucchini into our beautiful burst sauce. You could use a little bit of pistachio. You wanted to do a little bit of crumbled or minced pistachio, kind of acting as that cheese element. You could do a little bit more nutritional yeast, or you could simply do a little bit of basil. And this one I am going to chop a little bit finely. So however you want to top this, it's really up to you. I do like adding that extra bit of pistachio sometimes. It can be a really nice addition to the dish. So there we have it, our zucchini pistachio ravioli. And remember that zucchini's in there twice. It's as the pasta wrapper, and it's also in that pistachio filling. And we have a wonderful burst tomato sauce to go with it. Anybody have any questions about this dish?
That was wonderful, Chef Carrie. Thank you. Yeah. Any questions? Feel free to ask. Feel free to unmute yourself. And yes, Kathy, I see your hand up.
Yes, I wanted to know, taste it. My mouth is watering.
How did I forget? Yes, let's taste it.
Thank you.
All right, and so we're really looking at the seasoning of the tomatoes, right? Because we want to make sure that those are going to be seasoned enough salt, so they taste like tomatoes rather than just tasting like water. I will tell you, there is so much flavor packed into this sauce, and I am going to just use my knife and fork. I'll show you this so you can see how they do cut. But we can cut them just really nicely in half. And then we'll get a nice bite with the sauce. And I will tell you, I don't miss pasta when I eat this, right? That the zucchini is such a neutral flavor that I'm really just getting that wonderful pistachio, the wonderful basil, right? So the nuttiness, the creaminess of that. And as a cheese substitute, I'm not missing cheese, right? If I have pistachios, if I have nuts, I'm never usually missing cheese because we have that nuttiness, we have that wonderful fat in there, but we're getting the bonus of the fiber from the nuts. So it's such a balanced dish. We get the brightness, the acidity from the tomatoes. We get the creaminess from the olive oil, right? We've got that fat, the salt we added to those tomatoes, making sure, if you did have salted nuts for some reason, if that's all you could find in your store, you might have to adjust the salt a little bit lower because those pistachios will be a little bit salty. But it's really all there. That umami is coming through. The nutritional yeast actually adds a little bit of that meatiness, nuttiness, and the cooked tomatoes do that as well. So I love it. I'll eat this all day. I've got so much more to make after I get off, but I'm so excited for this dish.